Leaving the Heidelberg Magistrates Court for a matter with a somewhat good resolution for a sexual assault charge. My client was a first-time offender, was in his 50s, was having a very lonely and desperate time in his life, having suffered through a divorce, a very difficult breakup, lost his child, unable to reconnect with his family. As with most of my clients, some very serious personal issues forced them to cross my path and to rely on my assistance. And of course, I'm in a position to assist them by telling their story and trying to diminish whatever punishment they do eventually get. And this was that kind of incident, or that kind of matter rather, where my client had come to me, had obviously been in a situation where he went too far with a girl. He was in a very desperate situation. He saw signs of attraction initially, acted on them disproportionately and excessively, which put her in a position where she was a bit scared, in particular because they were alone and it was a bit dark after the venue which they had left. My client was not shying away from the offending. He had accepted that he had exceeded, his behavior was disproportionate. He wasn't particularly happy with the situation, of course, or with the allegations that embarrassed him a fair bit. He had never been through the court system and he definitely needed a lawyer to assist him with this kind of matter. Now, first-time offenders, we usually ask them for things like non-convictions and avoiding criminal records, and especially for sex offences, to avoid any recording on the sex offenders register, which could severely impact someone's job opportunities as well as daily movements, and having a report. It's usually a massive ordeal and restriction of your freedoms, really. I would say the positivity of the result was the fact that we got that non-conviction, the fact that he avoided a criminal records. We also avoided registration on the sex offenders register. It was a first-time offence. The sexual assault itself was limited to just touching and kissing, nothing beyond that, and ultimately it was punished harshly otherwise. And punishments are the separate side of things, so conviction is one thing to consider. Any other further orders like sexual offenders register, those are separate orders or additional orders, but the punishment side is usually sentenced harshly or usually administered harshly. On this occasion he got a corrections order with some treatment components and several hundred hours of unpaid work hours, which is community service to the layman. But otherwise a good result for the client, because in the long term it doesn't affect him, and this was otherwise just a single incident, a single very regrettable incident which should not otherwise be a massive blemish to his character or change the course of his future for good.